Welcome to the More Than Fitness podcast.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Minisode number 123. And I have an incredible Minisode for you guys today. It's called A Dietitian's Approach to Rapid Fat Loss and 7 Mistakes to Avoid. So as you guys know, summer is coming up, at least at the time of recording this, and there's going to be a lot of people who are trying to lose weight quickly. There's always people trying to lose weight quickly, right? But during the summertime, that increases by a lot. So a big motivation behind mine to make a video like this, and actually the next few minisodes are going to be all around rapid fat loss and losing weight quickly. I know basically people are going to do it. So if they're going to do it, I want to make sure that they can at least have some expert advice on how to do it safely and effectively, and who should even do it in the first place, right? So I've been a registered dietitian for a few years. I've been an online coach for years. I've gotten, bodybuilding lean. I've gotten around 5 to 7% body fat. So I've lost a lot of fat, and I've gone through the process myself. I've walked the walk, and I've helped other people accomplish rapid fat loss. And I also have the education through my being a registered dietitian and learning from other experts in the fields and like that. So as far as being somebody who can speak on this topic, I feel comfortable doing so. And hopefully in this video, I can run through a few things where if you are thinking about rapid fat loss, by the time that you're done with this video, you'll know for sure exactly what not to do. Right. As far as specifics go, I'll get into that in a few other minisodes. And I also have a very cool announcement to make for you guys at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The first mistake that you want to avoid, basically the wrong way to go about rapid fat loss, is before you ever begin, you don't do a self-audit. So I'll say this very clearly as a disclaimer in the very beginning. You should not be doing rapid fat loss. You should not be trying to lose fat quickly, and even the whole concept of dieting altogether, if you have any eating present or past eating disorders. Right. So that's got to be it's a very serious thing that I want to get across first. If you have any disordered eating habits, or if you are someone who is currently going through an eating disorder or had one in the past, you should avoid this at all costs. It's just not for you. That's all I'll say on that. But not doing a self-audit is the first mistake that people make. And so those types of people, if that's you, sorry, this isn't for you, need to figure out something else. Next, I think if you already have a fairly unhealthy relationship with food and you've been dieting for a very long time and you've already, obsessed over tracking every calorie, tracking every gram of food, being hyper obsessive on losing body fat, and you think that some type of rapid fat loss is going to be your answer that you've finally been looking for after a very long period of berating yourself and building an unhealthy relationship with food, and you have low self-esteem or self-worth, especially whenever it comes to eating behaviors. This is, binge eating, all these different things. It's probably not for you. Rapid fat loss is for people who have a mostly healthy relationship with food. So yeah, the first mistake is make sure you do a self-audit. And is rapid fat loss for you? I think that's the very first mistake. The second mistake is that people tend to have this goal of, okay, I want to lose weight really quickly. I'm going to the beach in 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 week, whatever it is. And they're like, okay, I'm just going to not eat. Basically, there's no rhyme or reason. They just know, okay, I've been eating tons of shit and now I'm not going to eat tons of shit. And hopefully that'll work out. Obviously It almost never does. But one of the biggest mistakes people make is just mindlessly slashing calories from the get-go. And there's no methodology behind how many calories they're slashing, and then also where those calories are coming from, right? They're just like eat less, move more, right? So just slashing tons of calories and then doing tons of cardio and excessive measures on top of that. So that's a huge mistake that people want to avoid, because that just leads to, one, typically them just falling off track and kind of having a negative view on dieting altogether and the difficulty of it. And then, of course, if you do this for a long period of time and you don't do it in a healthy manner, you can really screw up your metabolism and things like that. So that's definitely something to be mindful of as well. So that's the second mistake. The third mistake is they focus on solely losing weight and not fat. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, if you're trying to lose body fat, for the most part, it's because you want to look better, right? And I put better in quotes by your definition. Less body fat is going to make you look, quote unquote, better. And so if that's the case, you want to make sure to make sure that you're losing fat and not just weight, because there is a difference. And I think traditionally diets tend to focus too much on simply just losing weight as far as seeing the scale go down. But the scale going down doesn't automatically mean that whenever you hit this arbitrary number that you're going to look better at that weight. Because if you lost fat and muscle, you could have this more kind of deflated, skinny fat type of look, right? And that's not exactly what people are going for. What you need to go for is losing pure body fat and focus on retaining as much muscle as possible while losing pure body fat. That's how you get that toned, tight, muscular, lean, and defined physique, right? You have to make sure that you focus just as much on muscular retention as you do on pure fat loss, right? So that actually brings me to my next mistake that people make, which is not focusing enough on their protein intake. And a big part of retaining that muscle mass that I mentioned in the last mistake is by making sure that you're eating enough protein each day. And whenever you're dieting, whenever you're in a calorie deficit, whenever you're eating fewer calories than you burn, it's only going to be harder to retain that muscle mass because you have less energy available overall. And if you're trying to lose fat quickly, if you're going through a rapid fat loss phase, well then, by default, you're going to be cutting calories by quite a bit. And so there's going to be even less energy available than even on a more traditional, longer, slower, steady diet. Right. So it's super important that every single calorie is accounted for, and the macronutrients that you eat each day, specifically protein, is in certain ratios, certain amounts to best facilitate pure fat loss and muscle retention. So yeah, not focusing on protein intake is one huge mistake that a lot of traditional diets do. And that's how people end up losing weight, but not just fat, right? The next one that builds off of this as well is not focusing enough on strength training. Of course, right? You've got to lift weights. If you want to retain your muscle mass as you go through a rapid fat loss phase where you're already prone and at higher risk to lose more muscle in the first place, it's even more important to have a smart and intelligent workout plan to go alongside that. And another thing that you have to consider with that workout plan is that since you're eating less food already, you have less energy available and nutrients to provide recovery for your workouts. It doesn't make sense to just go on rapid fat loss and then also, do tons of high intensity interval training and tons of cardio every single day and ramp up your volume on your workouts and things like that, right? It's just, that's not that's not the smart way to do it. And so I think that, and another thing that people do is they try to exercise their way to fat loss, and they try and think of, okay, I'm trying to lose the most fat possible. So in the gym, I'm just going to do a bunch of circuit training. I'm going to keep my heart rate up. I'm going to sweat a lot. But the problem with this is that that's not conducive to retaining the most muscle as possible, because those things don't allow you to perform optimally, right? You're not allowing yourself to lift the most weight possible within those sessions, and therefore it's only going to put you at a greater risk of losing muscle mass. Sure, you might be burning more calories than you normally do in those workout sessions, but you're also at a higher risk of losing muscle mass. And the thing is exercise is just not a very efficient way of losing weight in the first place. It's not, you don't burn that many calories. So it's kind of a lose-lose. Not only are you doing a mediocre job of losing fat and burning calories, but you're also doing a mediocre job of retaining muscle mass. So in short, what you should do is focus on your diet for fat loss and focus on your workout program for muscle retention. All right. And the next to last mistake that people make is not having education and professional guidance throughout their rapid fat loss phase. They're just like, okay, I saw this in a magazine. I saw this on some article. It worked for this MMA fighter, and I'm just going to copy what he did or she did or whatever. And this just leads to disaster. One of the biggest drawbacks that people tend to have with rapid fat loss is they gain all the weight back, right? That's the biggest con, I think, to rapid fat loss. But if you have, and the main reason for that is because they typically go, the way that they lose fat quickly is going on some fat diet. So they do keto, they do a really strict type of fasting or a cleanse or a detox or something like that. And all that does is it kind of puts a Band-Aid on a broken leg. You don't actually learn anything in that process. You can follow a prescription for that period of time, but then after that period is over, then you gain all the weight back, right? You're not actually learning how to build healthy habits during that rapid fat loss phase so that then you can carry over those healthy habits when you transition back into normal eating and get out of this rapid fat loss phase. So I think that that's just as important to make sure that ideally, if you are going to do this, I would have a professional guide you through it. At least have somebody you can bounce questions back and forth off of. Do your research, because it's not something that should be taken lightly. So that's the next mistake. And the very last one, and I just alluded to it, is not having a plan for when the diet ends and transitioning back into normal eating without rebounding, without putting all the weight back on, because one of the very big risks of doing rapid fat loss is your metabolism can drop fairly quickly. And what happens is if you slash your calories a ton for, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks, well, then your metabolism hasn't had time whenever you're done with that diet. So you diet really hard for 4 to 6 weeks, slash your calories, and then after the diet is over, you start going back to normal eating again. And that could be a surplus of like 1,000 calories more than what you've been eating. And your metabolism doesn't have time to adapt at the end of the diet to catch up with everything. And so that just makes you prone to rebound and add a bunch more fat. You're kind of more primed to add more body fat at the end of a rapid fat loss phase. And so you could actually be in a worse spot at the end of that phase, at least a couple weeks after the rapid fat loss phase, than you were even going in. So that's obviously very important to consider. So making sure that you have a set time whenever that diet is going to end, and then you have a plan for reverse dieting, getting back into maintenance, eating back to maintenance and transitioning back to normality without all the rebound and weight gain. And so, of course, I know some of those might be vague, and I tried to just identify the problems and give a broad overview of the solutions for each one. And I'll talk more about these solutions in the next couple minisodes, so you don't want to miss that. But I am excited to announce that I have a product on how to successfully go through this rapid fat loss period. And so it's called the Fat Loss Accelerator, and I will be launching it, I think the date is going to be April 18th. And so it's going to be a 6-week course on basically how to finally commit to losing a decent amount of fat safely, in a healthy manner, easily, and with a professional. And so it's a 6-week course on how to get in shape ASAP. And if you want to stay up to date on that course and you want to learn more about the details and what that course is going to look like, I highly recommend you check out the link in the description of this video. And all you do is put in your email, and then I will send you updates as the course finishes up and how to get early bird discounts and all that other stuff, right? So if that's something you're interested in, the Fat Loss Accelerator is coming April 18th. I'm very excited to share this with you guys. So click that link in the description, just put in your email, and then I will take care of the rest. All right, and that is it for Minisode number 123. Thank you guys, as always, for listening and for watching. See ya.